Hi there, welcome to the CIT Tech Tips podcast. Hi there, everybody. So my name is Noah Struthers,
My name is Devin Hill.
and today we're going to be talking about the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. So I guess Devin, do you want to start off with the PS5?
Yeah, I'll read a list of specs off for the PlayStation 5. Its CPU has 8 cores. It is a Zen 2 with 3.5 gigahertz processing. Its GPU runs at 10 teraflops at 2.23 gigahertz. It has 16 gigabytes of DDR6 memory and comes with a custom 825 gigabyte solid state drive. If you want
Okay.
to talk about the Xbox Series X specs,
Yeah.
Noah.
I mean, most of the specs for the PS5, the Series X isn't that different. I think the big thing is the internal storage, where it has a terabyte, while the PS5 has 825 gigabytes. Again, that's the difference between two video games. So, for example, those two video games could turn out to be the ones that you really like and that you play the most, and you want to be able to install those on the PS5 just because of the fact that you want to have enough room. Um, so the big thing is too with the Series X. Um, you talk about the optical drive. So obviously, when it comes down to the PS5, I think the Xbox Series X has an advantage in that because they have an optical drive on both the lower priced, the $400 Series S console, and the $500 Series X, the higher priced. Um, but Devin, do you want to explain why they have kind of an advantage on that one?
I actually think the PlayStation has somewhat of an advantage only because the Xbox Series S is marginally weaker than both the PlayStation 5 and the Series X. Even though it has it has an optical drive, it doesn't really matter. And when you can get a console of the same power as that, or even better, for $400 with the PlayStation 5, it's the optical drive does make a big difference, but that's only if you have physical games from the previous generation. And considering most of us are coming out of the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, a lot of us had digital games there because buying physical games kind of went out of style in the past couple of years. So having a physical drive isn't as important to most people.
Okay, it's a pretty good stance on that. I know for me, I've always been a physical games person. I've always had like the discs for all the games I bought. I didn't really buy digitally. So I know for me personally, for those type of people that had the same thing, they're gonna want to have an optical drive to insert those games. Um, I know one thing with the Series X is that they have a little bit better of a backwards capability than the PS5 in my view, just because both of them do have backwards compatibility, but the Series X has slightly more games when it comes to those older consoles like the 360 games. Um, I don't know exactly what the PS3 to PS5 backwards capability is. You might be able to elaborate on that, Devin. I'm not too sure.
Backwards compatibility on PlayStation's always been a problem. It's very difficult to play older games if you're a PlayStation fan because for the most part you can only play a generation back. So on the PlayStation 5, you can put PS4 discs in, but PS3 games are very hard to play on a PlayStation 5. Sometimes you can get them on the digital marketplace, but I don't believe it'll read a PS3 disc. And anything before that, you can't really play unless you have. I think the PlayStation 3 was the last time they did backwards compatibility all the way back to the original PlayStation.
Yeah, I remember when I've had an Xbox for uh, three generations now because I'm gonna be getting that Series X, I believe, and so when I had the 360 though, when I was younger, I remember I used to play a lot of those games, and then when they upgraded into the Xbox One, I loved being able to take those games and play them still on the console with better graphics and better features on there. It was really nice. And then I remember I had friends that had the PS3, then they got the PS4, and they had issues sometimes, kind of taking some of those older games and porting them in to PS4. I mean, I'm not sure if that ever happened to you or not.
I've always been an Xbox guy. I had the 360 and the Xbox One. I only got a PlayStation 4 last year, or maybe 2 years ago, and then I got the PlayStation 5 when it launched. But yeah, PlayStation 4 didn't have amazing backwards compatibility, and the 5 is also very lacking. You can play almost the entire PlayStation 4 library, but it's past that you can't really play much.
I would definitely agree. So speaking of games, though, let's maybe try and move into some of the games that are going to be coming with these consoles. For example, let's look at some of the exclusives that are coming. Well, I guess we could start with the PS5 if you want to start with that, Devin.
Well, the major ones for me have been Spider-Man Miles Morales and Demon Souls.
Mm-hmm.
I've yet to play Demon Souls, but I plan on eventually. Miles Morales, which is only playable on PlayStation 5. You can play it on PlayStation 4 as well at a lower quality, but it is a very, very good game and one of the better exclusives out of this entire generation at launch. And there's also a free game that comes with the console, Astro's Playroom, which is kind of like an old school platformer, and that is also a very good game. I don't know if Xbox even had any exclusives when it launched, unless there was some smaller games, but if you know any of them.
I would definitely say this is one area where the Xbox definitely lacks exclusive games. When I was doing research, both on this and when I had been doing research when they were first coming out, I couldn't really find a lot of exclusive games for the Series X. I think I found the biggest one I found, in my opinion, was Microsoft Flight Simulator. But I own a a desktop that I can play that on. So for me, it was kind of disappointing when I was looking at the exclusive games. Sony definitely has a much better selection of that. Um, I would have to agree with you there, Devin.
Yeah, PlayStation is almost always ruled in the exclusive game category.
Yeah, I remember I was looking at the Miles Morales, so that Spider-Man game you were talking about, and it was really good. So, um, one big thing though about these exclusives, I do have to point out a lot of them can be played on on PC. Some of them can't. Like for example, I don't think Miles Morales. I don't think that is on Steam. I don't think you could play that on PC.
Most of the PlayStation exclusives aren't playable on other consoles.
Yeah.
You can stream them to PC, but you can't play them natively on a computer.
Mm.
Xbox, you can, depending on the game, if it's on the Game Pass and if it's compatible with PC. But most of the Game Pass library is starting to be cross-compatible between console and PC.
Yeah, I wanted to point out too on that when you talk about the Xbox, those games that they're launching with the console, just like with the Xbox One games, you can play a lot of them on their Game Pass. The only thing is you do have to pay for that. I think it's $10 a month, and I think they're increasing the price even more.
In my opinion, that's a great deal.
Yeah.
Just to be able to play almost an entire catalog of console games.
I remember recently I saw on the news, I think this was actually now like a month or two ago at least, they were doubling the subscription price on it. I used to have Game Pass for a couple of months just because I wanted to try some of that out. And when they doubled the subscription price, I was kind of like, I'm good with that.
The plan to increase the subscription price, I believe that ended up getting axed because the backlash from the community was so large.
Yeah.
So I believe they're keeping it the same. Might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure they made an announcement almost a day later that was saying that they've made a mistake with their price increase.
Our assistant Bobby actually just helped us out with he pulled up the prices for us. So I can tell you it's $10 a month for the gold plan, and it's $15 a month for the ultimate plan for Xbox. I'm not sure. PlayStation, do they have a similar model with that or?
Somewhat. They have a I believe it's like 25 to 30 games that you can play from the PlayStation 4
Hmm.
if you subscribe to PlayStation Plus, and they also give out between 2 and 4 games a month for free.
Yeah.
It's not as expansive a library, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty sure they're increasing that library at some point. So they will most likely be more free games from the PlayStation 4 and 5.
Yeah. Again, I'm being pointed out too. When it comes to the price points and stuff, you mentioned they axed the plan, most likely to double the price, and I think the reason why they were gonna do that was because they had an idea of combining Xbox Live and Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which plan they wanted to do that with, but to
I'm pretty
me,
sure they're merging it all into Game Pass. But
to me that seems stupid.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. It seems stupid.
the argument was that most people don't want Game Pass. They would either want Game Pass or they want Xbox Live. They're not going to want both at the same time. Keeping them separated gives the consumer an option, and
Yeah.
trying to force them to have both and pay extra.
Well, there's a
Isn't fair.
difference between when you talk about Game Pass, you associate that with playing Xbox games on PC, which, it's different than Xbox Live to me seems to be more used as, oh, you can go play, like, for example, playing GTA, you can go play GTA Online with Xbox Live, and,
Yeah.
you do all these things, and it's different than playing it on PC. So it seems stupid why they would combine that, but, you know. So we've kind of gone on to a little bit of a rant there with all of that, but let's try and just keep this moving. Let's talk about how this kind of compares to the previous generation of consoles. So how it compares to the PS4 and the Xbox One. What do you have any thoughts on how the PS5 kind of compares?
Well, as of right now, being somebody who has played on both a PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 for probably about the same amount of time, the increasing visual quality has definitely been a plus. Um, I'm not. A lot of the exclusives on PlayStation 5 haven't interested me too much, so they are great games. They're just not games I would go out of my way to play. So right now the problem has been trying to justify that purchase, because it seems to me that most games I could play on PlayStation 5 I could just play on my PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
But the load times are almost non-existent. The menu is very nice, and I think it is worth the purchase if you own a PlayStation 4 right now, especially with the library of exclusive games.
I would definitely agree with that. I think both the Series S and the Series X offer a big, sufficient upgrade over the Xbox One. Obviously, the big thing is when they revealed the specs. I remember looking at the GPU and saying, "Wow, look at the 12 teraflops." I had never even heard that word. Like, it's such a big unit of measurement when it comes to how powerful that GPU is. Compared to the Xbox One, it's like it's really really powerful. So, I mean, we have to talk about this. It's a big problem right now. It still is a problem months after launch. The availability. So,
It's a horrible problem.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be happening, but given the world's conditions, it's kind of, you have to kind of give it a pass sometimes.
Yeah,
But it's been what, almost 6 months, 5 6 months, and they haven't been able to figure it out.
I have expected. I expected it to be a problem. Like, I expected availability to not be great, but I did not expect it so that it was like how many months are we out now? Like 5 6 months after launch
Mhm.
launch for this. Um, so still people are not able to get it whenever new stocks come in, new shipments of PS5 or Xbox Series X. They sell out. I think almost immediately they sell out. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, a lot of it is people going in the second the link goes live and buying them in bulk and then reselling them on eBay or any other reselling websites. And that whole idea of scalping has been a major point of contention and is causing a lot of issues, mainly because all that money that could be going to Sony or Xbox is just not going there anymore. It's going to a reseller who's now getting double for what he paid.
Look,
And
I'm not encouraging scalping, and I would say it's a big problem. But what I would also say is it's going to happen when you don't have the supply. When you have, you know, people that basically have been sitting around trying to get their hands on one, loading up all of the major websites, Target, GameStop, all of these places, and they still can't get it. It's kind of ridiculous. And I know a big problem right now is the fact that they're kind of running out of materials to make some of the components in these consoles. So I don't think this problem is going to be going away anytime soon either.
yeah, it seems like it's going to plague the gaming industry for a while until they can kind of catch up between supply and demand. And I mean, considering how fast they sell out even to this day, that demand is not going anywhere.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I know, everything's different because of the coronavirus. Obviously, like right now, we're talking through masks and, trying to stay social distance in our school. And I don't expect it to be easy to manufacture these products, but
Oh,
it
it is
really needs to.
exponentially more difficult to do this
Yeah.
under these circumstances. So even getting the console to launch when it did and having the games available to launch was a feat in itself. So complaining about the availability is kind of, a first world problem at this rate.
I would definitely agree. I think that what needs to happen is there needs to be some sort of kind of leeway. I think people need to be a little more patient, I guess, on it. Some people do, and I think when it comes to buying these consoles, you gotta keep in mind that other people are waiting, so don't go buying, like 5 of them at a time or something. And
Especially if you don't plan on reselling them. I mean, it's dirty to resell, but I mean, if you're gonna buy 10 of them and just kind of hoard them,
yeah,
it's kind of insane.
I would agree. Um, I guess we can kind of move into with everything that we've said about all of this, these consoles, the specs, the availability, everything like that. Do you have a personal opinion on?
Well, I'm biased because I was able to get a PlayStation 5 rather early,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been using it for a couple months now. So
Okay.
I'm obviously gonna say the PlayStation's the better console here. I mean, being close in specs to the Xbox, and I think the main thing is the games. Like the consoles are very similar, but having the edge and the exclusivity of games this early on is huge. Getting people on the console ready to buy more games in the coming years, and that's why I think, as of right now, the PlayStation 5 is better.
I would definitely say that we've obviously disagreed on a lot of the things that we've talked about when it comes to specs and the optical drive thing and all that. But I would agree. I would agree that the PS5 has an edge overall compared to the Xbox. And this is coming from somebody who's had an Xbox console in their home for the past 14, 15 years. So yeah, I would say the PS5 has an edge just because, again, the exclusive games. Um, the specs, in my opinion, they still aren't as good as the Xbox Series X, but they're still exponentially better than any other console that's been out there.
Yeah, no matter what you picked, you can't really go wrong. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of what games you like. If you're more of a retro guy, then looking back and being able to play the Xbox and the Xbox 360 games might interest you more than just playing games from the past two generations on a PlayStation 5.
Mm.
Personally, if I were to get an Xbox Series X, it would mostly just be for the backwards compatibility.
I definitely agree. So, actually, you know what? I think let's get the opinion of our assistant. What console would you prefer, Bobby?
Well, I don't really play on consoles that much, but in my household, mostly an Xbox family. We've had since the Xbox 360. We don't have the Xbox One X yet, or I don't know if we'll get it. I'm not the one who uses it. So I'm biased. I would probably say Xbox. I've never actually played on a PlayStation in my life, so this is very biased source, a very distant one.
Okay, so there we have it. I think so. We have one person here for the Xbox and two people I think kind of leaning towards the PlayStation. So, I mean, bottom line is if you want to get a console, just be patient and try and wait, and
Good luck.
hopefully you'll get your hands on one. Yep. Good luck.
It'll take. You won't get it your first try, and I got extremely lucky when I got mine, and I wouldn't count on getting lucky unless you get to that link first out of anybody in the world, and the odds of that are pretty much zero.
Alright, so thank you everybody for listening, and thank you again, and goodbye.
Have a good one.